is more of a serious video, so after I'm done filming this, I'm gonna change shirts and pretend it's a different day and film a different video. And hopefully I'll have that one up either around the same time as I post this one or like soon after. So yeah, that's my update for this video. About a year ago, I made a video about my experience with TMS, which is transcranial magnetic stimulation. I just noticed that there was a lack of people on YouTube speaking about their experience with it. When I searched TMS into the YouTube algorithm, a lot of videos of individual doctors' offices came up, and like I know my doctor's office had done stuff on like a talk show with TMS, and like those were the sorts of things that came up, but there wasn't a lot of individual people talking about their experience with it. And to this day I get new comments and new views, so I figured I'd do like a bit of an update. Basically, when I went in, it was explained to me that TMS doesn't last forever. You do have to go in and get like touch-ups about every 1.5 to 2 years is what they explained to me. And they said it could be as short as a year probably. And given my track record, first of all, I didn't think it would work. And I also figured if it did work or if it kind of worked, I figured I'd probably have to go in like maybe 10 months after, just because nothing had ever worked for me before and nothing had ever worked like long-term for me. It has been, I started TMS in January of 2018 and I finished I think sometime in April of 2018. And the day I'm filming this is July 26, 2019, and I can still say that TMS saved my life. I am so grateful that I did this procedure, and I'm so grateful that it was possible for me to do this procedure because my life has been changed. I have not necessarily like relapsed and had to go back yet. I am expecting it at some point. The way they said was to kind of monitor and see how you're feeling every day, which is, trust me, it's something I do automatically. But they told me to like monitor and see how I was feeling. And they said, you know, like bad days happen, and I completely agree. And I've had many bad days. But they said if it like turns into a bad week and you kind of feel like a depressive episode creeping on, they said immediately give us a call and we'll set you up. TMS, when you get the touch-ups, you generally only have to go for a week. If you aren't familiar with the procedure, it's every day, 5 days a week for 6 to 8 weeks. Mine was 8 weeks long. So they said for the touch-ups, you generally only have to go in for a week. Something I did learn though was that my insurance doesn't cover the TMS touch-ups for a week. They only cover full sessions. So when I do inevitably relapse, I'm gonna have to go in for the full 5 days a week for 8 weeks. I do have to say my insurance covered most of it. I'm so grateful for that. Otherwise I would not have been able to afford the treatment. And I had worked 3 jobs the summer before. I don't have a car, I live in LA, and the treatment center I went to was about 20 minutes away from my school, and I lived on campus at the time. So what I did was I would just Uber there and back, and I spent my entire summer savings on Ubers, but it was worth it. The thing is, I would gladly be in debt for the rest of my life if it meant that I had a life. And I truly believe at the rate I was kind of spiraling out of control that if it weren't for TMS, I probably wouldn't be alive, and that's like a weird and scary thing to think about. But I'm so grateful I did the treatment, and I'm so grateful that it was possible for me to do the treatment. I get a lot of questions on my previous video that are like, hey, will this work for me if I have XYZ? Is it used to treat this? I don't feel comfortable answering those questions because I'm not a doctor. I'm a psychology and art student. I didn't go to medical school. I'm not a psychiatrist. So please don't ask me questions like that. Like you can, but I'm just gonna respond that I don't know and you should ask your doctor. A lot of people have been messaging me like describing their symptoms and saying, hey, do you think TMS will work for me? Again, I'm not a doctor. If you do have these kinds of questions, you need to be having them with your doctor. Specifically, if you have a psychiatrist, definitely have it with them. When you do TMS, they do give you a psychiatrist. At least in my experience, they gave me a psychiatrist that wasn't my own. They gave me like a special TMS psychiatrist, and he'd check in with me every week. I'm not a doctor, and a general rule of thumb, and this isn't meant to be condescending at all. I love all of you and I love all the questions I get, But if you have a medical condition, you probably shouldn't be messaging strangers on the internet asking questions about said medical condition, just because you can get a lot of misinformation that way. I think it's really important to talk to a doctor, really important to talk to a doctor. And I understand that like having a doctor is a privilege and being able to visit the doctor is a privilege and having insurance is a privilege. I totally get it. But I'm not capable of answering those sorts of questions, so please don't ask me them. I mean, like I said, you can, and I'll respond, hey, hope you're doing well. I can't answer that. I'm literally 21 years old. I did not go to medical school. The purpose of me making these videos on TMS is so I can share my experience, my personal experience, but that experience is as a patient, not a doctor. If I'm gonna be completely honest, I did not watch my old TMS video before I did this. I can't watch my old videos. I can't do it. They freak me out. I can't look at myself. I can hardly edit. But anyways, I didn't watch my old video, but a lot of people have been asking me, hey, what does it feel like? And I think I talked about what it felt like in the video, but I'll kind of go over it again. Sorry about all the airplanes you can hear in the background. I live by LAX. When you watch a lot of TMS advertisements, they're like, oh, it's painless, like you don't feel anything. You can definitely feel something. And I have a very high pain tolerance, and this still was like low-key a little painful. So it feels like, so you know you have a hammer, and there's the blunt end that's like a circle, and then the other hand that's like a little claw type thing. It feels like someone's scraping your head really quickly over and over with the claw type thing. And there's a woodpecker behind your eye and it's just tapping really fast. And then there's someone pressing your nose to the side. It's really weird. That's what it feels like. And for me at least, like I said, I only have my experience at SoCal TMS, which love them. They're amazing. They fought my insurance for me. They were absolutely amazing. They're highly recommend if you're in LA. They have a few locations around LA. But what they did was they started at a really low intensity, and then throughout the sessions, like during the session, they would gradually up it, and then eventually I was just like full blast the whole time, which is like fine, and it wasn't super painful, but I did get a lot of headaches. There are side effects, and I think I talked about this in my first video. I was exhausted all the time. I was falling asleep in class. I did have to talk to my professors about falling asleep in class. I did it beforehand. I was like, hey, I'm doing this like medical treatment that makes me really tired. And I did fall asleep in class quite a bit, and my professors were very sweet about it. Love LMU, shout out LMU, y'all are awesome. But that was one of the side effects. I got horrible headaches, and yeah, mostly the exhaustion and the headaches were what bothered me the most. Like I said, I would do it all over again. It was so worth it. It saved my life. I will do it all over again when I have to. Another question I get quite a bit is about the insurance. And again, I feel like I explained this in my last video, but I'll do it again. In order to qualify for TMS, you have to have been on, I think it's different for each insurance, but for mine it was like 4 different medications. And like, I've been on medication since I was 14, and my number of medications I've tried was in the double digits. I've been on so many different medications. I didn't keep track of them. Luckily, my therapist had been keeping track of them. So, especially because I've been to different psychiatrists, so like my files are all jumbled and lost wherever. But I'd been on like double digits. Like a lot of medications. I was like the textbook candidate for someone who should get TMS, and we still kind of had to fight my insurance to get it covered, but they covered it for the most part. I'm so grateful I could afford to do this. It is like ridiculously expensive without insurance, as all medical treatments without insurance are. Shout out USA for no universal health care. Anyways, I'll probably go now because I feel like I've been rambling for quite a bit. If you have any questions about TMS, leave them in the comments. I can probably do like a Q&A of sorts. So yeah, I love you guys. If you're watching this, this probably means you're not like feeling the best, or maybe you're just watching it to watch it. But if you're struggling in any way, I'm sending you all my love, and I really hope you do reach out and get help. If you're considering doing TMS, I highly encourage you to do it. It saved my life. And I hope that you guys are having the most wonderful day. If you feel like it, you can subscribe. If you don't, that's fine. Nice to meet you. I'm Rachel. I know I don't post super often, and I'm trying so hard to get back into the groove of that, but if you do want to keep up with me, I have an Instagram, and I'll link it below. I'm updating my Instagram all the time on my story and stuff like that. Anyways, love you. Bye.